United States has long been a global hub of immigration, a place where people from around the world have sought opportunities and refuge. But now, a bold and controversial promise from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump is making headlines: the largest deportation program in American history. What does this promise entail? And more importantly, what could it mean for Canada, America's closest neighbor, both geographically and diplomatically? In this video we'll break down the potential impacts of this unprecedented policy, exploring its ripple effects on immigration, Canada's economy, and the shared border between these two nations. Understanding Trump's deportation proposal. Donald Trump's deportation promise centers on removing millions of undocumented immigrants from the United States. Trump has repeatedly emphasized this policy as a cornerstone of his administration's efforts to enforce immigration laws, strengthen national security, and prioritize jobs for American citizens. To put this into perspective, there are an estimated 10 to 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. Trump's plan could involve detaining, processing, and deporting a significant portion of this population. The logistics of such a massive operation would be unprecedented. It would require substantial increases in funding for immigration enforcement agencies, expanded detention facilities, and enhanced border security measures. And yet, the economic, humanitarian, and diplomatic costs of such a program are equally staggering. The Canadian Connection, an immigration surge. Canada, known for its welcoming stance on immigration, could see an influx of people attempting to cross the border if deportation policies in the U.S. are enforced aggressively. This raises several critical questions. Will Canada become a sanctuary for those fleeing deportation? Historically, Canada and the United States have shared a unique relationship when it comes to immigration. The Safe Third Country Agreement mandates that asylum seekers must claim refugee status in the first country they arrive in. However, if deportation policies cause a mass exodus, Canada could face pressure to re-evaluate this agreement. During past political shifts in the U.S., such as after the implementation of strict immigration policies in the Trump administration, Canada saw a noticeable increase in asylum claims. A repeat of this trend could challenge Canada's ability to manage resources, housing, and services for newcomers. Economic impacts on Canada. Mass deportations in the United States could also have significant economic repercussions for Canada. Let's explore how. First, consider labor markets. Many undocumented immigrants in the U.S. work in industries such as agriculture, construction, and hospitality. If deportations create labor shortages, Canada might see a surge in demand for its workforce or even immigration applications from skilled and unskilled laborers. At the same time, businesses that depend on trade and partnerships across the border could experience disruptions. Imagine the ripple effects. From reduced consumer spending in American border towns to increased strain on Canadian resources as economic migrants seek opportunities up north. Canada could either benefit from new talent entering its labor force or face challenges in managing the influx. Humanitarian concerns and social implications. The humanitarian impact of a large-scale deportation program is profound, and Canada could be at the forefront of addressing this crisis. Families torn apart, children left vulnerable, and communities destabilized. These are some of the realities Canada may need to grapple with. Canada's refugee and asylum systems are designed to provide protection to those fleeing persecution and danger. But would these systems be prepared for a sudden surge? Canadian society has often taken pride in its multicultural identity, but large-scale immigration shifts can spark debates about resource allocation, social integration, and national security. Could Canada maintain its reputation as a beacon of hope without compromising its domestic stability? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you even more valuable and informative content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest uploads. Thank you for being a part of our journey. The political landscape, strain on Canada-US relations. Trump's deportation promise could strain Canada-US relations. As neighbors, the two nations have historically worked closely on immigration enforcement and border security. However, diverging policies on immigration could create friction. For example, Canada's willingness to accept those affected by deportations might be perceived as undermining U.S. policies. On the other hand, failure to respond effectively could lead to criticism of Canada's immigration framework. Moreover, increased border crossings, both legal and illegal, could force Canada to allocate more resources to patrol and processing, potentially disrupting trade and travel between the two nations. Lessons from the past. History offers valuable lessons about the interconnectedness of immigration policies in North America. During the Vietnam War, for instance, Canada became a haven for American draft dodgers. More recently, under Trump's earlier presidency, Canada witnessed an uptick in asylum claims following the introduction of travel bans and stricter immigration policies in the U.S. These moments underscore the need for proactive planning and international collaboration to address migration crises. Preparing for the future, Canada's role. So, what should Canada do to prepare for the potential fallout of Trump's deportation program? First, Canada must assess its immigration infrastructure. This includes enhancing border management, streamlining refugee processing, and ensuring that communities are equipped to integrate newcomers. Second, Canadian leaders must engage in diplomatic discussions with their U.S. counterparts to address mutual concerns about migration and security. Finally, it is crucial for Canada to uphold its humanitarian values while balancing national interests. This may involve rethinking policies like the Safe Third Country Agreement and expanding pathways for legal migration. Canada has long been regarded as a beacon of hope and opportunity, attracting immigrants from around the world with its promise of prosperity, multiculturalism, and stability. However, in recent years, the country has been grappling with the challenges posed by over-immigration, a complex issue exacerbating severe economic struggles. While immigration has historically been a cornerstone of Canada's growth, fueling its labor force, diversifying its cultural landscape, and countering the effects of an aging population, the recent surge in immigration numbers has begun to strain the nation's infrastructure, housing market, and social services. As of 2024, Canada has set ambitious targets for immigration, aiming to welcome over 500,000 new permanent residents annually by 2025. While these figures reflect the country's commitment to supporting global mobility and addressing workforce shortages, they also highlight a growing misalignment between immigration policies and the country's capacity to absorb and integrate such large numbers effectively. One of the most visible impacts of over-immigration is on the housing market. Urban centers like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal are grappling with housing crises as demand for affordable housing far outpaces supply. The influx of immigrants has added pressure to already overheated markets, driving up rental and property prices to record highs. Many families, including new immigrants and long-standing residents, are finding it increasingly difficult to secure affordable housing, leading to overcrowded living conditions and even homelessness. Government efforts to address these issues, such as increasing housing supply through accelerated construction programs, have been slow to materialize due to bureaucratic delays, zoning restrictions, and rising construction costs. Additionally, Canada's healthcare system, which is already overburdened, is struggling to accommodate the growing population. Long wait times for medical procedures, a shortage of healthcare professionals, and limited access to specialized care have become common complaints. Immigrants, particularly those who arrive under family reunification programs, often require immediate access to healthcare services, adding to the strain. While provincial and federal governments have increased healthcare funding, these measures have not kept pace with the escalating demand. Employment is another critical area of concern. While immigrants are often welcome to fill labor shortages in industries such as technology, construction, and healthcare, many face significant barriers to finding suitable employment. These barriers include credential recognition, language proficiency, and a lack of Canadian work experience. As a result, a large portion of immigrants end up underemployed or unemployed, contributing to economic disparities and social tensions. At the same time, certain sectors of the economy continue to experience acute labor shortages, highlighting a disconnect between immigration policies and labor market needs. The education system has also felt the impact of increased immigration. Schools, particularly in urban areas, are struggling to accommodate the growing number of students. Overcrowded classrooms, a shortage of teachers, and insufficient funding for specialized programs, such as English as a Second Language (ESL), are common issues. These challenges not only affect immigrant children but also the broader student population, leading to a decline in overall educational quality. Canada's social services, including welfare programs and settlement services, are stretched thin as well. Organizations tasked with helping newcomers integrate into Canadian society often operate with limited resources, making it difficult to provide adequate support. Language training, job placement assistance, and cultural orientation programs are essential for successful integration but are frequently underfunded and understaffed. The economic challenges linked to over-immigration are compounded by broader global issues, such as inflation, supply chain disruptions, and geopolitical instability. The rising cost of living, particularly for essentials like food, housing, and energy, has made it harder for immigrants and low-income Canadians to make ends meet. While immigration is often touted as a solution to economic stagnation, the benefits are not evenly distributed, and many Canadians perceive immigrants as competitors for scarce resources rather than contributors to economic growth. Public opinion on immigration has become increasingly polarized. While many Canadians continue to support immigration as a vital component of the country's identity and economic strategy, others express concerns about its impact on housing affordability, job opportunities, and social cohesion. This polarization has fueled political debates and influenced government policies, with some advocating for stricter immigration controls and others calling for increased investments in infrastructure and social services to support the growing population. In response to these challenges, policymakers face the difficult task of balancing immigration targets with the country's capacity to integrate newcomers effectively. Strategies such as regional immigration programs, which encourage immigrants to settle in less populated areas, have shown some promise in alleviating pressure on major cities. However, these programs require significant investments in infrastructure and economic development to ensure that smaller communities can provide adequate opportunities and support for new residents. Ultimately, addressing the challenges of over-immigration and economic struggles requires a multifaceted approach. The federal government must work closely with provinces, municipalities, and private sectors to align immigration policies with labor market needs, housing availability, and social service capacities. Investments in affordable housing, healthcare, education, and settlement services are essential to ensure that immigration contributes to long-term economic and social stability. Donald Trump's proposed deportation program has the potential to reshape immigration dynamics not just in the United States but across North America. For Canada, this is a moment of both challenge and opportunity. As a nation known for its openness and resilience, Canada stands at a crossroads. How it responds to the ripple effects of U.S. immigration policies will shape its future as a global leader in humanitarianism and a trusted neighbor to the United States. The question remains, can Canada rise to the occasion? Let us know in comments below.